And then there were five. Welcome again to another edition of Prep Previews Playoff Editions. My name is Brent St. Germain. I have with me two sports writers, Chris Singleton and Kelly McElroy. Another exciting week ahead we have, guys, this week for high school football. 5 games left. We have in 5A, we have South Lafourche at Westgate, and also we have St. Paul in a rematch against Thibodaux. In Class 4A, we have Vanderbilt hosting Carr. And in Class 3A, we have Edie White traveling to Monroe to play Richwood. Mm-hmm. And we have St. James in another rematch this week hosting Patterson. So, guys, let's just get started with the big 5A games coming up this week with South Lafourche and Westgate. That should be the longest trip for the Tarpons to travel this year, but we know they're going to have a large contingent of Tarpon fans looking to go cheer on the Tarpons and tailgate. Mm-hmm. So it looks like it's going to be a good matchup between South Lafourche and Westgate.
Yeah, Brent. I think what you're going to see here is the speed of Westgate. That's going to be interesting to see how South Lafourche handles that speed. They may be the fastest team that South Lafourche has seen all season long, other than maybe a Terrebonne. But
right.
It'll be a real test for that Tarpons defense, who's been very stout this season.
And you mentioned earlier, this will be probably the farthest road game for the Tarpons this year. It should be interesting to see how they're going to handle all that adversity and the challenges they face of going on the road, having to win a playoff game for the first time in a long time.
South Lafourche has one thing on their side, momentum. I mean, they won their first playoff game since 1997. And also, that was their first home playoff win since 1985. My first year in college. It's been quite a while. And this week also in 5A, St. Paul's is playing Thibodaux. Rematch of probably one of the most exciting games we had last year. Thibodaux was down 22-0, stormed back in the second half to win 25-22 on a last-second field goal. St. Paul's, good program, 10-1 on a 10-game winning streak. Their only losses to Carr in the season opener. They're another team that's got momentum on their side, but coming to Thibodaux for the second year is not going to be easy.
Yeah, well, St. Paul, I believe, had a lot of juniors last season. A lot of those skill guys that lost to Thibodaux in the regionals last year are back this year. I know Coach Lorio was talking a lot about that to Teddy earlier today and yesterday about how this is a team in St. Paul's who wants to beat Terrebonne. Thibodaux. They remember how bad it felt last season to come here and get up big and then lose. So look for St. Paul to be really fired up, on Friday night.
St. Paul and Thibodaux, two teams who are known for running the ball, have a lot of playmakers on offense. And then you look at this game in particular, I think this game is going to be decided which defense can step up and make the plays.
And in Class 4A, here we have Vanderbilt Catholic pulling off a 10-0 upset of Sam Houston last week in the Lake Charles area. They're going and they're hosting Carr this week. It's going to be a tough test for the Terriers.
Again, Carr's a team with a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. It'll be interesting to see how the Terriers kind of handle that speed. I mean, it's been a problem for them this year when they run into really fast teams like your Hornbills and your Lutchers. But if you're Vanderbilt, you got to be proud of the way you played last week against Sam Houston. I mean, anytime you shut out a playoff team in the state of Louisiana, there's something to be said for that.
And look at that Carr. They averaged 30 points per game this year. And so this team is very, they're serious on offense. They know how to put the ball up. They have a lot of, great playmakers on that team.
Class 3A, we have two teams, the Edie White and St. James in. Let's start off with the Cardinals, the number 3 seed in the 3A playoffs. Edie White's going to be hitting the road this year, travel to North Louisiana, Monroe, to play Richwood. Taking that long bus trip is always a concern, at this time of the year.
Traditionally, though, I would say if all the teams who have handled road trips well in the past few years, it's been Edie White. They've been able to go on the road and take these 4 trips up to North Louisiana, and they've been able to come back with victories,
Right.
But the thing people do say about Richwood is the speed. Again, is the speed factor here. They're a very fast team, and Edie White has been able to deal with speed okay in the last few years, especially in the playoffs. So it should be interesting to see what happens against a speed Richwood team.
Yeah, and Edie White is they're probably playing the best football of the year right now. If there's any of our teams who can go on the road and pull off an upset, Edie White is the one to do it because they've looked pretty good all year long, and it should be a very competitive game up there in Monroe.
And finally, our last game is Patterson at St. James. For the Wildcats, another rematch. Last week they had a rematch against Brewery. They won that first meeting. They won the rematch. This time they're playing a team they lost to in Patterson. They lost 22-20 earlier in the season. And getting them at home is a big benefit for the Wildcats. I mean, they went to the playoffs as a 3-7 team. They were a dangerous team.
And another thing is, look at St. James and Patterson. These are two teams who are, kind of like longtime rivals. These two teams have played like before years past, and in the playoffs and throughout the regular season, and every showdown is always tough. So, these two teams, they know each other very well, and these two teams, they know how to stop each other, and they know how to get up for this ball game. So I'm expecting a very, very interesting game on Friday in St. James.
Well, guys, another week of high school football playoffs. We've got 5 teams left. See what we have next week. Hopefully we'll have 5 more to go for the quarterfinals.